In U.S. election years, it's natural for investors' personal political beliefs to shape their assumptions about how the election may impact markets. Republicans likely believe the stock market is in much better shape when their party is in office. Conversely, Democrats likely believe the same is true for their party. However, historical stock market data shows that neither party is inherently better for stocks. That's why Fisher Investments analyzes politics from a nonpartisan viewpoint. We focus solely on the likely market impacts of political developments. We believe political bias, such as a preference for one party or candidate over another, can lead to costly investing mistakes. Historical stock returns are nicely positive for both Democratic and Republican presidents. Since 1925, the average annual return under Democratic presidents has been 14.8%, and under Republican presidents, it's been 9.5%. What difference there is between these average returns appears largely due to economic and market factors outside of individual presidents' control. For example, President Herbert Hoover's single term starting in 1929 pulls down the Republican average with a negative 21.7% average annual return. While Hoover certainly made some mistakes, he had the misfortune of being the president during the first 3 years of the Great Depression. Who is president often doesn't impact the economy as much as many believe. Ultimately, America's economy is dominated by the private sector, meaning the vast majority of economic activity is outside the direct control of politicians. At the end of 2019, the private sector accounted for 89.1% of U.S. gross domestic product, with the government accounting for only the remaining 10.9%. Another important consideration is whether the president's party also controlled Congress. The makeup of the House of Representatives and Senate can determine how much a president is actually able to accomplish. When you analyze stock returns based on which party held Congress, in addition to the presidency, the data becomes even more unclear as to whether one party is consistently better for stocks. No matter your political preference, allowing your view of one party or another to influence your investing decisions can be dangerous. This isn't to say political parties don't matter to stocks. Investors' partisan biases can affect sentiment and returns surrounding presidential elections, but you need to objectively analyze how politics can influence markets. For example, presidential election and inaugural years tend to follow a pattern we've termed the perverse inverse. Typically, when Republican presidential candidates win, stocks perform well in the election year, as pro-business campaign rhetoric raises investors' hopes. But then, stocks generally perform below average in the inaugural year, as the new Republican president often can't meet those lofty expectations. Conversely, when Democratic presidential candidates win, stocks usually notch below average returns in the election year as investors worry, rightly or wrongly, about perceived anti-business campaign pledges. But then stocks often surprise nicely the following year as the Democratic president exceeds investors' low expectations. Taken together, electing a Republican or Democratic president often simply shifts the timing of stock returns, but not the market direction or magnitude over these 2 years. Ultimately, regardless of who is elected, the president will need to work with the House and the Senate to turn campaign ideas into laws. This typically involves compromise and choosing which campaign promises to focus on versus which to forego. The perverse inverse is rooted in 2 core principles. First, stock markets move on the difference between expectations and reality. Second, the legislative process tends to water down big campaign pledges, making it difficult for presidents to accomplish as much as originally expected. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, you can click the subscribe button and ring the bell to be notified when we publish new content. And you can explore the Election Hub on our website for more election-related content.